Welcome to the MWA podcast. I'm Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Sean and Jeff. On this episode, we're going to be catching up with a great friend of the show, Wilbur Pan. Wilbur is a fantastic woodworker and an ambassador of Asian woodworking tools and techniques. And he will be demonstrating those tools and techniques at the upcoming Handworks event in Amana, Iowa on September 4th and 5th. So welcome back to the show, Wilbur.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Great. Very happy to be back here again.
Well, great. Yes, and it's been a while, but it's hadn't been quite a year. So
yeah,
we may get some phone calls from some gentleman in Rhode Island. But anyway, we'll see.
Yeah.
So before we get talking to Wilbur, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Sutherland Wells knows that exceptional craftsmanship deserves an exceptional finish. That's why they handcraft their full line of low and VOC exempt finishes and stains using the highest quality, cold-pressed, sustainably grown tung oil. Their unique polymerization process delivers the deep penetrating, grain-enhancing, non-yellowing protection of tung oil, while reducing the drying time, allowing the finish to build a beautiful, durable film. Sutherland Wells, the timeless look of traditional oil, made for the modern woodworker, and use code MWA25, that's the numbers 25, for 10% off your first order.
And we'd like to thank Sutherland Wells for their sponsorship of this episode. And with that, let's give our patrons a shout out. So who do we have to thank this week?
Yep. We like to give a big shout out to our Patreon supporters. Today, we're going to give that particular shout out to Matt S. Anonymous Matt S. Thank you for supporting our show. Anybody who wants to, you can go to patreon.com/MWA podcast and support the show that way.
Fantastic. And with that, let's move on to what's in the shop. So, Sean, what you been working on?
My golf game.
Your golf game.
Fantastic. Summer season. This past weekend, actually, we went to a concert. Big old concert. It was fun. Morgan Wallen, for those that are hip to the new country music, but that got me home very late. And the next day, I had a golf outing. So I got about 4.5 hours of sleep, which was great. And the next morning, we're just kind of chilling in the morning, and my wife goes, "Hey, I could play 9 today." So go out again. So a whole bunch of that. And this week, particularly, my son and I are like grinding on the. I've got a little launch monitor, and so we're looking at our numbers, trying to dial things in the backyard. So,
okay, good.
Yeah. It's the most aggravating game where the ball doesn't move until you hit it. It's really, really aggravating. How about you, Jeff, man? What you up to? You're home for once. Yay.
Yeah. Enjoying being home. Actually just working on some forms for a class in John C. Campbell later this year. So I just I'm going to do that Boggs, the 6-slat Appalachian rocker. So I have a few bending forms right now, but I kind of like using the strap, just keeping that in compressed up on the metal strap. So it just kind of holds the fibers down. It's a pretty severe bend. So sometimes when you take it like from walnut or even cherry, has a tendency to get just the slightest crack. So I purchased some of the, I know Peter Gelber's got a little thing on his blog and some other stuff he's talking about using that shrink wrap stuff, that plastic.
Right.
So I just ordered that. It comes and it's like 1,500 feet. So I was like, I think I'll be pretty good for a pretty while.
Yeah. I have some of that. Ordered some of that same stuff too. It's enough for a lifetime.
Yeah,
and maybe if Copper gets into chair making, his lifetime too. Yes,
there you go.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my god. So I was thinking about it. I looked at it when I pulled it out of the box. I was like, oh, I should like make some kind of roller or something, something with that. But anyways, right now I'm just kind of went and purchased some plywood, cut it up today, and then tomorrow I'm going to start bandsawing everything out. And then just then I'll route everything out. So, and I have quite a bit of the metal straps. I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, but if there's a couple sheet metal places pretty close to the house, about 30 minutes out, I'll drive over there and I'll ask them for some drop pieces and just tell them what I do and show them a couple pictures, and they're like, oh yeah, we can get you. Like, how much do you want? And then, so they gave me a bunch of strap for free. So I don't know if anyone's listening, if you ever try to buy that stuff like off like McMaster-Carr or something, it is expensive. Like the bending strap. So just if you do it on like a local sheet metal place, I've had good luck of them just giving it to me.
Does it have to be like a spring steel, or is it not?
No. It's just like some thin sheet metal, just like 2 inches wide, something like that. Whatever they got. So this stuff is a little bit wider, so I'll actually clamp it between two boards, and then use those boards as a fence, and then kind of grind the excess off, and then it'll be a little bit of work. It'll probably take me a couple hours just to cut some of those straps to just the 2 inches wide, but it's free. So
can't go wrong with that.
Now, one thing I looked at, Lee Valley used to sell those straps too.
They do, and it's just that I have a couple of them. They work amazing. They're really good, and that little tension bar that they have.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. Is when I was doing the bends, I recently did. I go, it's probably about time for me to break down and get that little Lee Valley thing that you can automatically dial it in. And I went to order it, and can't get it in the U.S.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, it said it was still available in Canada, but not in the U.S. market.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, so must have to do something with tariffs, or I don't know. Well, I know Lee Valley put out a thing, what was it, a month or so ago, saying that they were going to start limiting their catalog and, discontinue a bunch of stuff. So I don't know. Hopefully that's not it. I don't know. We'll see. Go ahead.
How long are those things?
Well, it's not the strap itself. It's this little clamp thing that goes on the end of it. But the straps themselves are what? I think they're like 70 or 80 inches long, something like that.
Yeah, they're a good size.
But they're like, I think at least for Lee Valley, I think they sold them like 1.5 or 1 3/4 and 2.5 or 2 1/4, something like that. So fairly.
Could it be a shipping thing if it's too long? Because I can't think of any examples, but I've seen cases where there's a company that's based outside of the U.S. and if it's too big, they ship it to the U.S., but they'll ship other stuff.
Okay. Could be. I don't know.
I could be wrong, but
I know at Handworks, I'm going to ask them about it. So it's like, it's like one of those nice to have things. And I thought, well, maybe it's time for me to finally get it. Then when you go there and you can't get it, it's like, oh no, I got to scour the work. I did look at eBay, and,
But so anyway. maybe you can get some kind of like mail forwarding company. But I worked overseas. I had that.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually have an address. So there was a couple places you could pick from, and I had them. They'd ship it to that address. Then to the mail forwarding place, and then they shipped it overseas. So maybe we can all get Canadian address.
Exactly. Maybe.
Yeah. Hey Jeff, you called it a Appalachian 6-slat rocker?
Yeah, it's the bogs. Some people call it an Appalachian rocker, Appalachian 6-slat, whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
Okay. I'm guessing the slats are the slats on the back. That's
6 of them. Yeah, it's the Jeff Lefkowitz used to teach that class all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
yeah,
he's got a really nice manual on it and everything else. So whenever I teach that class, I'll buy the manuals from Jeff for the students. I'll get them printed out and stuff for them and put them in the binder. And it's pretty, it's a pretty good aid.
Yeah. One thing, since I got very little to update anybody on, one thing I wanted to ask you about, Jeff, is you were at Aramont. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. So that was my first time ever being on Aramont, the campus or anything. So when you're going down, it's like downtown. It's in downtown Gatlinburg. I'm like, so I'm driving down there, and it's like take a left at like lights number 6, and all the lights are numbered. I'm like, I gotta be going the wrong way. So I was like, my GPS is off or Waze is off or something. I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. So I was like, well, I'll just pull in as it's telling me. So I pull in this parking lot, and I'm like, wait, that's Aramont. And it's like middle of downtown Gatlinburg. So then you pull in there. Matter of fact, that ski lift, they have a ski lift thing that like goes right over the entrance. So if you're taking a class at Aramont, you can do the ski lift thing for free to give students. So you get to do that. Pull in there, and this is probably the nicest craft school I've ever been to. Not that I've been to all of them or anything, but it's a super cool place. It's really nice. People are very friendly. The food was amazing. I really enjoyed my time there. So we did a Velda side chair. I started out, my original intention was to do just a fan back side chair, but then when the Velda side chair came out, I was like, man, that is a pretty chair. That's really a slick looking chair. And so I just wanted to, I did the Velda rocker before. So it wasn't, and the seat carving's kind of cool on it. I really like, it's not, it's a little challenging, but it's got really sharp lines on it. It's more modern looking. I think just it appeals to a wider audience. And the fan back it's a beautiful chair. I just wanted to kind of do something a little different. So I really enjoyed and the class. It was a really cool class. It was just the campus is really nice. Really, I can't say enough good things about Amana, but yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I did not have much to update since probably our last recording. I've been on a little vacation with some old college friends and visiting some other folks. So it's been good. Had a good time.
Good.
And I'm in full detox mode right now. So, but anyway, so that's been about it. I have gotten some feedback on some of the prototypes I sent out. I think consensus from everybody was the new center finder works all right, but it may need to be, I need maybe a smaller version and a larger version, or I need to find out some way to make it adjustable. So I'm going back to the drawing board on that. So we'll see what comes out of me relooking at this. I have a couple ideas I need to test out, so it should be fun. I'll enjoy doing that kind of work anyway. So Wilbur, what have you been working on in your shop?
Not a heck of a lot because I think I mentioned before I managed to get myself elected to our local board of education, and that has really taken up all of my spare time. So in terms of woodworking and my shop, this is what I can recall. So last September, I went out to Woodworking in America, gave some talks out there. And then I didn't do anything woodworking related until around the holidays, when I made a bowl for a friend of mine from a chunk of a oak tree that fell down in his yard. And so that's like a one evening thing. And then I've been into the shop a couple times just because I needed to fix something around the house. And that's really been it. As a matter of fact, that pile of shavings from that bowl I turned is still sitting there.
Okay.
That's how long it's been. But I mean, it doesn't, keep me from looking around, thinking of things that I need to do. One of the things I really need to do is put shelves in along this basement wall that I'm sitting up against, just for storage, because we've kind of run out with the stuff that my two sons have accumulated, and their method of storage is to just bring it down to the basement and toss it on the floor. So
Well, at least they don't put it on your bench, or is it too cluttered already?
Yeah, no, they don't go back there. So
well, that's good. Well, this brings me to a question. So I assume you turn this bowl on an electric lathe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just curious. Which brings me to the next question: is in Asian woodworking, what kind of lathes did they use? Did they use was it similar to pole lathe that the Western folks used? But it rotated the opposite direction or something? I don't know.
So let's see. So first of all, I always consider turning as being a hand tool thing, because my hands are on the tool. The
No matter
the motor is attached to the spinny clamp.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's that. But in terms of lathe work, there's actually not a whole lot, primarily because round turn things are not generally a huge part of the Asian aesthetic, almost regardless of which country you pick. China, Japan, Korea, Southeast Asia. And from what I've seen, the things that are round tend to be pillars for a building, like oftentimes a temple, and those are generally just shaped with planes that are curved to get the profile that you want, and then it's just a matter of taking the time to do it. I have seen two lathes that would be different from what we in the Western world would consider to be a lathe. One of them almost doesn't count, but one thing that they would use a lathe for was for shaping jade in China.
Okay.
So they would take a little chunk of jade, put it on a little tiny lathe, and the images I've seen of that being done back in the day, it would be hooked up to a flywheel of some sort and a pedal to keep the thing spinning. Of course, it wouldn't take as much effort because we're just talking about a little piece of jade and not like a big thing of wood. I've also seen a method of turning that goes like this. You have a standard lathe that has a motor hooked up to it, but the turning tools are all like hook tools of some sort or other, and they're presented to the wood underneath, below center, as opposed to doing it above center. I believe that the way that it turns is still the same, where the back of the piece of wood comes up over the top and then down the front. But you're just presenting the tool below center, much like if you're sanding something on a lathe. I tend to do it under below center, not on top, so I don't kill my fingers by getting them jammed between the workpiece and the tool rest or something like that. Oh geez, I'm forgetting the name. There are these Japanese wooden dolls where the head is turned separately from the body, and then and on the body there's a little post that where the neck would be, and then it swells out a little bit, and the head basically is forced on over the ball, so it'll actually wobble a little bit, but it won't come off. If that makes sense. But the
original bubble head, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But that's the one thing I can think of in terms of wooden turned objects that would be more traditional.
Okay, interesting. Well, listen, we need to talk to you about what you have in store for Handworks coming up here. We like to promote Handworks as well as the Texas Woodworking Festival. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about our listeners. We always have new listeners, about yourself, where you grew up, and how you got into woodworking.
Oh, okay. So I grew up in the Chicago area. Spent almost my entire life there until I was done with med school, and then I came down to Dallas for 3 years to do my residency, and then went back to Chicago. But the reason I want to bring up the time I was in Dallas is that I've always been interested in woodworking, because I would watch New Yankee Workshop and Woodwright Shop on I was young, here and there whenever it was on and I happened to be home. And my dad did some woodworking, but it wasn't like, for him, it was a very practical thing. Like, I still remember the set of bookcases that he built. He just built the bookcases because it was cheaper than going out and buying bookcases. But it wasn't like he had, a love for woodworking. He just saw it as a practical thing that he could do to save money. But at least it, put the idea of making things into my head. I also remember taking a wood shop class where I made a bellows for the fire, for my parents' fireplace. and I remember enjoying that a lot too. So anyway, fast forward to residency, and basically when I was senior resident and on call for a Saturday, this was our routine. So the first thing we would do is round on all the patients and sort out what we're going to do, and we would try to be as efficient as possible because we want to get the people who were on call overnight on Friday night home so they could get some sleep. And here's the thing, at least for pediatrics, that's what I do. Saturday afternoon is a very dead time in terms of kids coming into the hospital. Why? Because parents have got their kids out doing all kinds of things. They're at a cookout, or they're playing with friends, or going to some activity, or got a sports game of some sort or other. And in general, the kid has to be really sick to break away from the barbecue to come into the hospital. That's just how it works. So what that meant from our standpoint is that we were done with rounds. We had done everything that we needed to do for the kids in the hospital for that day. And Saturday afternoon is a lot of sitting around, waiting for something to happen. So in the residence lounge, the routine was grab lunch, go there, watch whatever college football game was on, and then but since I was senior resident, the senior resident has control over the remote, and so it didn't matter what late college game was on. I would flip it to New Yankee Workshop, so we could watch that. And actually my fellow residents were kind of into it because there would be we got to the point where we'd be watching Norm do his thing, and then one of us would say, "I bet he's going to use the dado stack," and then Norm would say, "Okay, well, I'm going to put the dado stack in the table saw." We would high five each other. So that was fun. Anyway, after residency, I went back to Chicago to do my fellowship training, and then came out to New Jersey for my first job. And then eventually we bought a house when our first son came along. And here the story turns, pretty typical. I had this house, needed to do stuff in it. So I thought, okay, I always had this woodworking thing in my head, and I found out that in our house there was a perfect shop for a space for a shop that I could set up. And as it turns out, my house was built in the 1940s, and my backdoor neighbor grew up in that house, and so he knew the family that originally built this house. And he told me that the dad who built this house had his shop in exactly the spot where I have my shop right now. So I felt good about that, because apparently the dad was a really good woodworker, because my backdoor neighbor said that one summer he kind of remembers like a lot of noise coming out of the basement shop. And then that went on for a while, and then at the end the Bilco doors opened up and a boat came out.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So so that made me feel good. So that's how I got into the woodworking thing.
Well, that's nice. That's nice.
Mhm.
I love that the same woodworking hobbies is going on in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
The same house. That is
Yeah.
through what, two different owners, I guess.
Let's see. Well, it was the original owners,
Okay.
and then they sold it. Let's see. If I remember right, eventually they sold the house to someone who was like an absentee landlord, and then the house started falling apart a bit, and then another family went and bought the house and fixed it up, but then they got relocated unexpectedly, which is how house came on the market, and then we came along. So that's
nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that, so tell us about what you have in store for Handworks.
I wish I knew. Because yeah, I mean.
Oh wow, this is going to be a short episode then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is that I've been lucky enough to do a decent amount of teaching and giving talks and things like that over the years. But the one thing I've never done is stand in a booth and just talk to people like nonstop all day long. And here we're going to be doing that on Friday and Saturday. So in my head, I think I may just put out a sign saying, Japanese woodworking tools, ask me anything.
Yeah.
Life. And that'll be it. And there's other stuff I can talk about as well, including Chinese furniture stuff, because I have I've done presentations on that, and even just general woodworking things, and I've done presentations on bandsaws before, just mainly because I love them. That's like the one piece of machinery in my shop. I have a couple other things, but that's like the main thing. And I always say that bandsaws cut on the pull stroke, so
they're good.
That's right up my alley.
Well, nice. Well, just remember, if I'm sure we will be hanging out in your booth a bunch, but if not, I think we're like almost directly opposite, according to Jamil.
Okay, cool.
Your booth's going to be opposite where Mark's is, so
yeah,
it'll
perfect
be
for heckling. We're just going
perfect for heckling. Also perfect for him saying, "I got to go take a restroom break."
Yeah. Can you imagine? and answer these questions about tools we're not that familiar with. Perfect.
Yeah. And/or bring me something for lunch. I'm starving.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got the lunch thing down now. Hopefully they will have food trucks both days. We'll see what happens.
Oh,
but
that'll
if
be
not, we have a solution.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Well,
the other thing that's going to be weird for me is that I've actually come to grips with the idea that I'm probably not going to be able to look at any of the other things around outside.
And we were at Mark's booth last time, and honestly, that was kind of the thing. We got like one, maybe two times to walk around a little bit. It is kind of you do your walking on setup day, and see who you can see and talk to who you want to talk to, because it might be that case.
So but it should be fun. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm very happy that I have this this chance to be there and be part of Handworks on that side.
It's a fun time. It really is.
Yep. I remember the times I went there just to go and look around. It is a blast. And for anyone listening, for some reason, Father John and Jamil want us to emphasize that admission is free. So now I've done that.
There you go. That's a very important detail.
Yeah,
exactly.
Checklist.
Yeah. We had Jamil on a few episodes a few weeks ago, or whenever his episode dropped. But and he was like, "Yep, it's free."
Yep. Yeah, I heard that.
It's not free for the exhibitors, but it's free for y'all coming in. But it is a fabulous time, and I refuse to show my tools there for a number of reasons, but the main one is I want to be able to walk around and enjoy everything. But but we also have a fun time just hanging out in probably your booth and Mark's booth and just meeting folks coming by. That was a blast. So
yeah. I also think I'm going to be unique in that I actually don't have anything to sell, whether tools or whatnot, or even classes or things like that. So just in the spirit of the free thing, the Japanese tool asks me anything doesn't cost a dime.
Good.
There you go. Well, are you still going to be teaching in the future?
I don't have anything set up
right
now, but I'm always open to that sort of thing.
Well, cool. Well, let me ask you a few things about Asian tools and Japanese woodworking. So is there anything going on now, new or old, that's really piquing your interest? Doing any research in, or?
Let me think. There's a new company, a relatively new company called
Oh
tool.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard a couple
Yeah.
interviews with that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe they're going to be at Handworks too. I
Mhm.
talked to him. They have laminated chisels, which I'm going to stop short of calling them Japanese chisels, but I understand they use a different type of steel than what's typically used. I'd like to pick their brains about that. The other thing that I'm be interested in talking to them about is traditional Chinese woodworking tools, because there's almost nothing that's known about those things. But what we know is that you still have the same basic tools, their chisels and their saws and their planes. And for the most part, historically, the Japanese tools originated in China. They were brought over, and then they kind of developed their own thing. And from what I can tell, there are things that are quite similar, such as the idea of forge welding a harder piece of steel to a softer piece of steel to make a chisel or a plane blade. It's just that in China they didn't take the time or effort to refine that process as much as possible. But number one, that actually was a pretty standard way of using steel back in pre-industrial ages. There's plenty of examples of laminated chisels all over the world, and technology had actually can trace back to like the era of the Crusades, because Damascus swords are made with the same forge welding technology with a hard piece of steel surrounded by softer pieces of steel. But if you take a look at examples of Chinese woodworking, like Ming Dynasty furniture, you've got these beautiful pieces of furniture with these extremely elaborate joints and also extremely elaborate carving in the examples that you can see. In Ming Dynasty furniture, there's not as much carving going on, but the Qing Dynasty stuff that comes afterwards, they went nuts with with carving. It's like any surface that wasn't carved, they were going to go do it, and the carving is just exquisite. And so the question, but on top of just the technical aspects of making Chinese furniture, they decided to up the difficulty by doing it in all species of wood that are essentially like rosewood.
Wow.
So what I would love to know is what is it about Chinese tools, in the traditional way that they made it pre-industrial age, that allowed them to do that in woods that were that hard and difficult to work with. So I have a feeling that the Zenwu Toolworks folks knows something about that. So I'd love to pick their brains. What I have been able to find is, I think it's the Essex Peabody Museum outside Boston. They have, as one of their exhibits, an entire facade from a traditional Chinese town that was being taken down, and because a lot of the methods of building Chinese buildings are again imported to Japan and adopted there, but it's all lots of essentially timber framing things and a lot of interlocking pieces. So what they did with this town is they knew that they were taking all the buildings down, so they went and disassembled and marked all the pieces of wood that made the facade of a couple buildings on the street, and then they brought it to the Peabody Essex Museum and put it back together again.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great exhibit if you can make it out
Next time I'm in Boston.
Yeah, yeah. But in one of the displays, they have some of the tools that were used in terms of the construction and deconstruction, reconstruction. And they said these tools date back to like the early part of the early 1900s or so. So post-industrial, but I'm sure they were still doing things the same way. And I got a really close look at them, and you can actually see lamination lines on the edge tools. Again, not super refined or anything like that, but they're there. Yeah, so that just tells me that this forge welding lamination process for chisels and other edge tools is a pretty good way of making
Right.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw their tools first a couple of years ago at
Mhm.
Texas Woodworking Festival. But I think they've greatly expanded their line and stuff
Mhm.
since I last saw them. So yeah, but they were beautiful tools. I don't, I'd be interested in your opinion on them too.
Mhm. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
yeah. I'd like to just see how they feel in the hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, and to continue on that theme, so to speak. So for we've talked to you a lot about Japanese tools and stuff like that, and hey, what should you pick up first and those kind of things. But for someone that wants to go beyond the typical things, or your pull saws and chisels, what would you suggest they explore next?
Yeah. So my short answer for like what Japanese tools should I rando woodworker try out. What I always say is that everyone can benefit from a Japanese chisel.
Yep.
Just because it is true. You can sharpen them to extremely fine degree. It'll hold that edge for a very long time. And here's the thing that I try to put out there in the universe. It's not that hard to attain that edge and to use the chisel. I do remember, just going back to the how did I get into woodworking thing. The reason I got interested in Japanese hand tools is because when I was setting up my shop, one of the things I didn't mention is my shop is not that big. It's like maybe 10 by 20, I think 10 by 18. And the various entrances into the shop area, and the fact that I have an electrical our main electrical board down there, and pipes and whatnot, meant that I didn't have a lot of usable space, and I kind of figured out that I was going to have to do things with hand tools as much as possible if I wanted to try to do this, because I actually had to make the decision: do I get a table saw or do I get a bandsaw? Because I don't have the space for both. And like I said, I went with bandsaw. So happy.
Yeah. You made the right decision. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and as it turns out, my backdoor neighbor that who I mentioned, his name's Mark. He's an excellent woodworker as well. And I went over to his shop to see how he did things, and he showed me, what a really good hand plane could do, and that just like set off the huge light bulb in my head and made me feel like this doing things with hand tools is actually feasible to do. So I started looking up stuff on hand tools, and then I ran across, there are these Japanese hand tools that are out there, and that's what people would say. You can take this chisel, you can sharpen it up to a super high degree, and it'll keep that edge forever, but no one could explain why that was the case, and I was curious, and I just dove down that rabbit hole and never came up for air after that. So anyway, but the other thing that kind of surrounded the whole Japanese tool world back at the time was I kind of feel that that the knowledge around that was gate kept by the people that kind of knew stuff about it. Not everyone, of course,
Right.
There are folks that really did want to teach, but a lot of the folks, especially on the internet, surprise, seemed to it was almost like they seemed to want to make it look like it was going to be hard, for reasons that escape me, because that's never been what I've been about. So anyway, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to sharpen these things up to like a super fine degree. It's not that hard to learn how to use them. You just have to make a commitment to that. So going back to your question, everyone can use a chisel, and they're great, and it's easy to sharpen, and all of that is true. If you want to keep going, then my next suggestion is to start picking up some Japanese saws. Now, I don't put that first because, first of all, I know that not everyone is super interested in doing hand saws for everything, but everyone can use a better chisel. And the other thing is, I know there are people that are actually very good with Western saws, and I don't really suggest that they need to switch to a Japanese saw because if they're getting great results, that's really the all that matters. But if you are a beginner to hand saws, or if you've tried Western saws and just they're not working for you, I actually do think a Japanese saw has advantages, and you should give that a try. The third thing is Japanese hammers, which I actually don't talk a whole lot about, but they're wonderful hammers, especially the ones with the barrel-shaped head that's more compact, shorter, because putting all that mass in such a small space allows you to be, pretty extremely precise with your hammer tap. So there's one hammer that I use like all the time for things, and I can be very, very gentle with the tapping, and I can wail away on it if I just want to bash a bunch of nails into something and use them. But
now are these hammers being made today, or these?
Oh yeah. Okay. They're readily available.
Yeah.
Like most things, there's a range of things you can get. So you can open up a catalog and to any. I think. Let's see. I know Woodcraft will carry them. I'm pretty sure Lee Valley has them as well. But and like Highland Woodworking, I think does. But any general, a lot of the general woodworking stores will carry these things.
Yeah, I just know from a Western perspective, when people start talking hammers, they start talking vintage hammers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you can buy these off the shelf, and then you can like move up to the ones where the blacksmiths actually take a lot of care to make these things, because there actually is a similar lamination process where the main body of the hammer is relatively soft steel, but the striking faces are harder steel, and they're forge welded together that way. And in some of those cases, you actually don't buy a hammer, you buy the hammer head with the expectation that you're just going to make your own handle, which I've done. And again, it's actually not that hard to do. I finished mine off in an evening pretty easily.
Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, I had so I picked up one of those little Japanese hammers from Highland, and I've been using it to set my spoke shave when I want to get it a little bit heavier. And what I've done in the past is just kind of flip the spoke shave over, hit it, and I've never gotten good at doing that, right? I was like, there's got to be a better way, So I tried that little hammer they had at Highland, and it just that small tap, I was like, oh my God, that it worked pretty good. I was like, maybe I got lucky. And then when I've done it a couple times now, and I've done it 40, 50 times now the last couple months, and it works so nice. I was just like, that is my go-to now, that Japanese hammer with the spoke shave, just that little tap. It's just like, man, it's a really nice tool. So it's not, I would have thought it. I just tried it, and it just works great. Those little hammers are awesome.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's great to hear. And for the listeners, we didn't set this up.
Yeah, exactly.
Not at all. Not at all.
This is spontaneous podcasting. Yeah. The other cool thing about Japanese hammers is that one face is flat, like flat, and the other face has a very slight convexity to it. And the reason for that one is that that's the side that if you're pounding a nail, you use that to finish off the pounding, because it'll actually drive the nail a little bit below the surface of the wood that way, so it's not sticking up. And I have used my hammer to beat some nails into submission in the floorboards of my house, because again, they're original to the 1940s, and sometimes those nails just start popping up. So it does great. It does great for that. Let's see, Japanese planes. There are a ton of them. I actually don't suggest that anyone let me rephrase that. Nobody needs a Japanese plane. You can easily get a very good plane from other sources that are not Japanese and be just fine. But I will say that they're a lot of fun to use. And if there's anything that I would say as an advantage, finger quotes, to Japanese planes, like number one, again, the ability to sharpen the plane blade to an extremely high degree, and it'll keep that edge for a very long time. So that's an advantage, I feel. And then the other thing is that working on the pull stroke is actually easier on your body. And I have practical experience for this because I've had issues with frozen shoulders before. And there was one time I had to make something, but my shoulder was acting up. And if it wasn't for the fact that I could pull the plane by using my Japanese planes, I never would have gotten the thing done. Because if I had to, try to push a plane to do it, my shoulder would not have let me do it. But by pulling, it's a lot less strain on your shoulder and your body for that matter. So there's a bit of an ergonomic advantage, I think, with pulling a plane and pulling a saw, for that matter.
Yeah.
And
the only thing with Japanese planes is they do require a level of knowledge from the end user to set them up.
Yeah. So again, I think that's been overblown.
Really? Okay.
I really do.
Okay.
Now, because here's the thing: the people that really obsess over setting up a Japanese plane are also the ones that are interested in those planing contests, where you're pulling a shaving that off of a beam that's 6 feet long or so, and it needs to be an uninterrupted full width shaving that's going to be less than 1,000th of an inch. You really need to tune up a plane for that.
Right.
But that's to a degree that's way beyond what most of us need to do in woodworking and making a project that we would put in our house or give to someone or anything like that. And I will this is the hill that I'll die on. Learning how to use a Japanese plane is actually not that hard. Just like I was talking about the chisels. And I know that there are people that have that go around saying the opposite. And again, I don't know why they say that, because I kind of figure if I could figure out how to use them, anybody can figure out how to use them. Because at the time that I was figuring this out, there really was not a whole lot of information on how to set up and use these things. But now that I know how to do them, and again, I can just speak from experience, I could I can teach someone how to set up and use a Japanese plane pretty quickly, like in an afternoon.
Okay.
That's been my experience. And then after that, it's just whoever listens to me, they just have to keep using it, and then they'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, so what is you mentioned a lot about sharpening the chisels and the plane blades and whatnot. So what is your go-to sharpening method these days?
Yeah. Actually, my go-to sharpening method is pretty much the same one that I've used ever since I started woodworking. So when I first started woodworking and started using knew that I had to get in hand tools. I did figure out that I needed to get these tools sharp. And luckily I had someone, my neighbor Mark, show me what a sharp blade, what a sharp chisel really looked like. Because
that's the hardest part is to
right. Because that's one of those things, like if you're in person and you see it, you get it in like 5 seconds. If you're trying to describe it to someone long distance, or through a video or something like that, or writing words, it becomes much harder to do that, because this is a very tactile thing, what a sharp blade looks like. But be that as it may, what I picked up at the time was a set of 3 water stones. These are the Shapton water stones. It was 1,000 grit and I have to remember 1,000 grit, 5,000 grit, and an 8,000 grit water stone. And they work great. The only modification that I've made to those is I've replaced the 5,000 and the 8,000 grit water stones with natural Japanese water stones that are in the same range. The middle one is about the same as the 5,000 grit, and the one I finish off with, I actually think it would be an equivalent higher grit than my 8,000, just because I can tell when I look at the tool under the magnifying glass and I look at scratch patterns. The natural one leaves a finer scratch pattern than the other one. But again, no one needs those things. I picked those things up, number one, because I was curious as to what using a natural Japanese water stone would be like, and number two, I found some bargains on eBay and took a huge leap of faith when and having used them now. I mean, I really like using them, mainly because the feel of the tool on the stone is, I think, is nicer. But this is one. But a good analogy is, it's like the difference between using a very well tuned Stanley that you found at a flea market and tuned up so it's working really great, and using a Lee Nielsen plane of the same sort, where the results are going to be the same, but it just feels nicer to use a Lee Nielsen because you don't have like all that backlash when you're spinning the wheel to advance or retract the blade. Feels smoother, but like I said, the end result is pretty much the same.
What about maintaining flatness of the stones?
That I have a diamond plate.
Okay.
Yeah.
DMT.
It's made by a company called Atoma.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a 400, and they advertise it as a 400 grit diamond plate. But I like it a lot, primarily because the surface of the diamond plate has these grooves in it in a diamond pattern, and it carries away the swarf very, very quickly and doesn't get clogged up.
Okay.
I have a DMT that I tried using for the same purpose and didn't like it nearly as much.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, would you consider that the Japanese water stones are more? Do they wear out more than the Shaptons, or
no,
dish out more? Should I say? Yeah.
No. The I picked, let's see, it was around 2008, 2009 when I first bought those Shaptons. I still have them. The 1,000 grit one, I can tell is getting thinner, and I maybe have to replace it at some point. But that's because when you're at the point of using a 1,000 grit water stone to sharpen, that's basically where you're going to be doing 90 to 95% of the work, is putting the tool on the 1,000 grit stone. And then once you have that edge established, then it's like a very short period of time on the 5,000, very short period of time on the 8,000. And it's just the nature of water stones that the coarser the water stone, the more it's going to abrade, all other things being equal. And so between the increased amount of time and the fact that the lower grit water stones will just abrade more, you'll get more wear out of that. But like I said, I picked that thing up in 2008, so that was 18 years ago.
Right.
And it's still usable.
Are these?
I think I got my money's worth. Yeah,
for sure. Are these splash and go, or do they have to soak them? They're splash and go.
Just like pour some water on in there and they're ready to go. Yeah, I just keep a little sprayer thingy and spray them down, and then I go.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's the same for the natural water stones. You just splash water on them, and they're ready to go too.
Do you use any of that like corrosion resistant water or anything like that, or?
Nope, just water from the tap.
Okay.
But that's New Jersey water, so
yeah,
your mileage may vary.
Yeah, which is which is true, but but the other thing is that it's still better than New York water. So
of course, that's right.
Yeah, that's the other hill I'll die on.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah. If I had to do it over again, this is the only change I would make. I would actually get the 12,000 grit Shapton Waterstone. I don't know why, but at the time I was buying these things, the 12,000 grit one was almost twice as much as the 8,000.
Mhm.
And these days they're about the same in price.
Yeah.
So
They go up to 30,000.
oh yeah. No, I'm not getting the 30,000 one. That one's even more expensive.
It's like $300.
Yeah, something like that. So, but that's the only thing I would have done differently. Yeah.
Okay.
And if in case anybody out there is wondering, yes, I do think there's a difference between the 8,000 and the 12,000 because number one, I actually tried at 12,000 at one time, and the other thing is that again, I can see the difference in scratch patterns between my natural one and the 8,000, and I do think that there's a benefit to going to a higher grit in terms of the edge and the surface that the chisel or plane blade will leave on the wood. And the bigger thing though is that there's no downside to using the 12,000 versus the 8,000 now that they're comparable in price, because you're just going to still spend about the same amount of time putting the tool onto that last waterstone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Well, before we finish up, one other question I have for you. So, how is your professional career? You're both a doctor, and then a researcher, and
Yeah.
are currently researcher.
Mhm.
So, how does that shape the way you think about craftsmanship or patience, problem solving?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Well, I've always had like a research-oriented mind. I've done research for a very long
Mhm.
time. This, these days, the research is like my major focus as opposed to like the number two priority. And I think that's the thing that got me curious about Japanese tools in the first place. And like I said, diving down that rabbit hole. If I'm being honest, I also say that I'm a bit stubborn as well. So when, like I said, I started asking questions about Japanese tools all the way back then to folks out on the internet, and I would ask, I remember this. I asked, can someone please explain to me why these chisels seem to take an edge and hold them for a very long time? And one of the answers I got was, well, I've been using these tools for about well over 30 years, and there's so much nuance and subtlety to using them, there's no way that you're going to understand it. And I was like, okay, thank you for taking the time. But like I said, I think part I think the reason I like research is because I think I'm just curious about stuff.
Mhm.
I like to learn things and figure it out, and I think that's informed my thing with woodworking, even beyond the Japanese tools thing. I just have a great time staring at a spot in my house and say, I think I need to build something for there. How can I go do it? And then working through the process of figuring out the solution to the problem that I'm looking at, and then figuring out how to actually build the thing, which is a thing that we all do as woodworkers, right?
Yeah.
And what I found is that with that approach, even the simplest projects turn out to be really nice. Because upstairs in my living room, I built a bookcase. It's nothing special. It is actually primarily nailed together because I wanted to play around with cut nails, and that was also the kind of the design that I was using, just using like 1x3s and nailing everything together, except for the shelves. The shelves were like 1x12s. So it's a super easy project, but what's beautiful about it is that I sized it for the spot on the wall so that it comes within a half an inch on either side of where I needed the shelves to be. There's another thing I built, it's just a simple table, that and when I was done with it, it looked stupid because because the proportions for the height compared to the length and width of the tabletop were just all wrong. It looked like way too tall for the thing that it was, and the length and the width of the tabletop looked all wrong too. But in our bathroom at the time, there was a pedestal sink and a little gap between the edge of the sink and the wall, and I had sized the table to fit perfectly in that area so that it was even with the edge of the sink and completely filled up the gap. So I actually brought it to my woodworking club, and everyone said, "Wow, that looks really stupid." And then I showed them a photo of it in place in the bathroom, and they said, "Oh, that was really good." So yeah, that I think that's I think that's it. And the other thing, and I know you guys know this too, if you have a job that you spend all day just thinking about things, it's really good to be able to do something with your hands.
Right.
Right. Because I can feel, well, not these days, because again, no free time, but when I was doing more woodworking, I could feel a different part of my brain being activated, and I felt better just because of that. Yeah. So, and that's actually something that I would notice in the med students and residents that I used to teach and work with, because if you go to medical school, you want to be a doctor, you spend a lot of time studying and just thinking all the time. And I could tell, like, oftentimes the better medical students and residents also did something in their lives that involved their hands, and the ones that were not so good, that seemed to be a pretty common theme. And I'm not, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying that they're dumb or anything like that, because you can't be that way and make it to medical school and finish that off. But I could tell a difference in the way that they approach problems and thinking about their patients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Makes for a more, I guess maybe you want to say, well-rounded person. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
or you're just or you're just spending time using all of your brain, or at least a much larger proportion of your brain than if you didn't do something that involved your hands.
Yeah, because I know we all get into that stuff when we're in the shop, when we just get in the zone, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's been 4 hours. How is it 4 hours?
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. Well, speaking of that, so what are you doing for fun these days? Besides, I would say normally we ask, what do you do outside of woodworking? But now I'm going to ask, what are you doing outside of research and running the school board?
Yeah.
You have time for anything else?
Let's see. Well, I'm still playing in my band, which is another thing that happened, because I won't get all the details, but basically, since we moved to New Jersey, I didn't play music for a very long time, and all my guitar stuff went into the basement. And I started playing with a band for the first time after 18 years.
Wow.
And I swear, after the first 2 band practice I went to, I could feel my brain changing, just because I was doing something that was, physical, playing an instrument that I hadn't done in a very long time. And again, I felt better. So anyway, I'm in 2 bands these days. My main band is called Blaming Ray. Ray's our drummer. We blame stuff on him.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. It's your typical Jersey old man rock cover band, but we have a really good time. And weirdly, this is actually the first cover band I've ever played in my life. Because back in the day, I was in bands, so we would do originals for the most part.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other band that I'm in is that there's a guy named Eric Harrison, who is a singer-songwriter. And he's been playing music since he was young. He's about my age now, but he's an attorney, and he's a very interesting guy because he loves writing and performing music so much that what he routinely does is he just writes an album's worth of songs, and then there's a producer that he works with, and they go into a studio and they record all the songs, and then he goes and plays them out, and I'm in his live band. So the interesting thing here is that the live band is Eric, who plays guitar and sings. Of course, it's his band, and I play guitar, and then we have a bass player and a drummer. That would be Mike and Charlie. And the thing is that in the studio they do all kinds of stuff, and it's kind of falls on me to figure out how to make the live version of the song sound something like what was recorded, or to just come up with something different entirely. Because if there's a whole bunch of keyboard parts, whether we don't have a keyboard player in this version of the band, so I have to come up with something, and that's really cool because that kind of is more what I'm used to in terms of playing in a band, where it's like, oh, we have the song, we have to figure out arrangements and things like that. And that again uses a different part of my brain, even music wise, because the thought process to saying, oh, why don't you do this song as a cover is different from, oh, I have this song that was written and we have to figure out what to do with it in order to play it, play it. Nice. So there's that.
It's pretty have you ever watched on YouTube? There's this channel, Lexington Lab Band.
No.
It's pretty good. I believe, don't know the backstory. Someone listening may know the backstory of the group, but I believe they're all studio musicians. So you'll see different musicians on different songs, but they do covers. They do the covers to a T.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the original. Some of the stuff, some of the Boston stuff and stuff they've done, it's just like, wow.
Okay. So. I really admire people that can do that, because I cannot.
Yeah.
I can't do at all.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that, I go, this is they're fantastic. But yeah, that's primarily all they do is covers. You know, like I said, they do the music to the T. Vocals are usually really good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out. Like I said, I really admire people that can do that, because I mean, I've played guitar all my life. I cannot duplicate a solo.
Yeah,
I can play a solo that sounds good. It won't be like what's on the record, and even the next time I play it, it won't be the same either. That's just how I do things on guitar. And in Blaming Ray, actually, many of the covers we do don't sound a whole lot like what's on the album. Which
I like those too. People do covers and they do their own take on it.
Right.
I think these people said, all right, let's try to, instead of doing our own take, let's just try to get as close as we can to replicating the original. So
yeah.
It's kind of like making one of Curtis's chairs.
Yeah.
Just trying to get close as I can.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it. You either mimic or you try to make it your own. That's in woodworking or artistry of any sort.
Yeah. We do a version of Nowhere Man that we completely drop the harmony vocals at the beginning, and basically it's like loud guitar from beginning to end, but it's fun, and people actually seem to like it.
Okay.
I always introduce the band and I go that sign, any Beatles fans here? And then people go, it's okay, we're going to apologize in advance for this one, and then we just launch into the song. But people like it.
Good. So for any people living in the greater New Jersey area, where should they go to check you out?
Oh, so for Blaming Ray, we have a Facebook page. Just look for Blaming Ray.
Okay.
And for Eric Harrison,
I'm joining that tonight.
Oh, okay. And then for Eric Harrison, he's on Facebook as Eric Harrison singer-songwriter, because apparently there are other Eric Harrisons out there.
Okay.
And Eric also has his own website. If you just search up, Eric Harrison music or something like that, you'll be able to find it. And he also has a YouTube channel, which I think, actually, what he tends to do is just record a live gig front to back, and then he just posts the whole thing.
Nice. Okay, I'll have to go out there and check
Mhm.
that out. So we
Yeah.
can see Wilbur on the side jamming out.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Well, besides those two, where else can folks find you on the interwebs?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the best place to find me is on my blog, giantcypress.net. Again, because of the lack of free time, there's not a whole lot of new stuff on there, but there's a ton of great information there. Plus, that's how you can find out how to reach me by email or the other things. And I see you put in the show notes that I do have an Instagram account that I never use.
Yes.
So that's it. And even on top of that, I get on Instagram just to see one thing these days, which is, did my son post an Instagram story?
That's a good reason to do that. Yes,
Yep.
as the kids get older, that's a good way of not totally helicopter parenting, but just seeing what they're up to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's all I do on the Instagram. I know I'm doing the social media thing wrong, but
Hey,
You're doing fine.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
More people I meet, it's like, yeah, Instagram used to be great. Now I'm, not doing it. So we'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, with that, let's move on to our fortnightly beer choices. So I'll start us off. I am drinking water tonight,
Good for you.
but I was introduced to the Spaghetti. Spaghetti, I think is the way you pronounce it.
What is that?
It is a low effort beer cocktail, as they say. So it's made with, it's got to be Miller High Life. It's got to be the champagne of beers.
Mhm.
And you put Aperol, which is a Italian liqueur, about an ounce of that into your Miller Lite, and then about half an ounce of lemon juice. And it makes for a delightful little cocktail for summer, sitting on the deck, whatnot, they do go down real easy.
Yeah.
Just a warning, just a warning there. Yeah. The most appropriate way to do it is, you drink like 2 ounces out of your bottle and then pour the rest of the stuff in. And, it turns with a nice kind of reddish color, and it's kind of cool. Anyway, but they are delightful. You can, like I said, just look up Spaghetti. It's SPAGHETT, and just look that up on the interwebs. And like I said, it's an easy recipe, and it's quite delightful. So,
Sean, did Kyle pass on that article on Miller Lite that I sent to him?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did.
Did
the one that said it was the
it was like the best drink ever.
Best drink ever, or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the whole article was about how beer snobs who tend to look down on Miller Lite have no idea what they're talking about, because in many ways it's actually the perfect beverage.
And
when I read that, I immediately thought of you.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I emailed it or texted that over to you.
It's just gonna be possible. Got lost in the sauce somehow. It happens.
It's all right.
It happens. So Jeff, what about you? What are you sipping on tonight?
There was an old Samuel Adams Oktoberfest.
Oh, fantastic!
Aged well.
I was just like, from last October, and so I was like, I wonder if it's still good, and
Sure
it is. Yeah. So I
as long
sure
as it doesn't
the
see
time.
light, you just keep that out of the sunlight, and you're fine.
Yeah, and it's in a dark bottle too. So
Yeah, that helps.
and the fridge light's only open for a limited amount of time.
There it is.
There you go. Are you
I'm not
sure?
in there when it closes, so I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, but So, what about you, Sean?
I previously mentioned the standard house beer is Miller Lite.
Oh,
nothing too fancy there. Wilbur, how about you?
Water right now, an espresso in the morning.
That's it.
Like every morning.
Nice.
Perfect.
Still awesome.
Are you still using the same espresso maker you told us about? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it still working exactly as you got it?
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing I've had to do is replace O-rings. There,
okay,
O-rings that separate things. The various the bottom chamber from the cooling section in the middle, and there are other O-rings as well. But again, considering according to the the website, when the thing actually starts boiling because it's under pressure, it's like 350 degrees
Yeah.
on the inside. And if you make a couple espressos every day, because I make one for me, I make one for my wife, and you do that daily, and eventually the O-ring wears out. So
Yeah,
just have to,
it's a wear item. It's a pressure
Yep.
system. Yeah,
Yep.
that's normal maintenance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
but
but
good
otherwise,
to know that you're still using it. That's awesome.
yeah. Otherwise, it works exactly the same. I think I got it 4 years ago now.
Yeah. What was the name of it?
It's called a 9 barista.
9 barista.
Yeah, the number 9 and then barista.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeff, if you don't know, it's like the most expensive cappuccino maker.
Or espresso maker.
Espresso maker. Sorry, espresso maker.
I don't know if it's the most expensive, but
it's
up
actually
there.
not.
Well, okay. So for a non electrified,
if you're going to pay for 2 espressos every day, it probably pays for itself.
Yes,
it does. Really quickly.
100% does. And in 4 years, you've made money at this point.
Oh yeah. Yep. No, that part is definitely true. I think I remember I figured out my break-even point at one point, and it was much shorter than I thought it was. It was going to be. And yeah, it's expensive for a non-electrified thing, and because of tariffs, because it's made in England, and tariffs, the price has actually shot up quite a bit since when I first bought it. But if you look at it from I'm paying this much for a device that will make the best espresso you've ever had, then it's actually pretty much in line, even with the recent price hike. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, at the price of anywhere from $3+ for the simplest shot of espresso, something like that. If you're truly, that's what you do when you do it once a day, every day.
Yep.
That's simple math.
Yep. Yeah, and it's better than any place around.
Yeah. I'd have to taste it, but I trust it. But yeah. I think it's gone up about $200 since we last talked.
I think any espresso I've ever had, I can't tell them apart. They're just all really strong. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
That's bite my gums.
It's a sipping drink. It's not not a shot.
It's good, I guess. I don't know.
Well, fantastic. Well, Wilbur, once again, thank you for coming on the show. It's been great spending some time with you, and I can't wait. See you 5-6 weeks. We'll
5 weeks.
Yeah. Believe it or not, wow, it's just around the corner.
Wilbur, for the will you have some bring some books and some chisels and stuff? Just.
Well, I'm going to bring. I'll be bringing lots of toys to demonstrating for people to try out. Again, like I said, I'm going to be a little bit unusual there in that I'm not going to have anything to sell, but I'll have plenty of stuff to look at and try out.